How's everyone doing? Okay, let's get right into it today. All right, so today I want to talk to you about Yeshua. What does it really mean to follow Yeshua? Okay, I know I talked about a lot of spiritual things, a lot of tool things, the light, the darkness, and I wanted to get you the understanding of how it's possible for one to follow Yeshua and know what I'm teaching you, because what I'm teaching you could conflict with other sects and other religions, but I want to clarify. In 2000, I decided I wanted to follow Yeshua. I went to a Baptist church. I had gotten licensed within the Baptist faith. But at the same time, I went to a rabbi and I sat down with a rabbi and I said, hey, who is Jesus? Who is this Yeshua that we're all talking about? I want to know. Well, he said that he's a rabbi. And if you look in the scriptures, let's see which one here talks about the rabbi. John 6:25. When he found him on the other side of the sea, and it said unto him, Rabbi, when come thou hither? Okay, so he's a rabbi. So what is a rabbi? Well, a rabbi is a minister. In Baptist faith, we call the rabbi a minister. He's the entrance level of a minister. But because of his age and the time that he was in it, and him being a Jew, right? He was a rabbi, but he wasn't at a priest level or a high priest level. So rabbi, priest, high priest. Okay. So Yeshua was a rabbi. I understood that. So if I wanted to follow Yeshua, are you saying that I'm supposed to convert into Judaism? Because a rabbi is one who followed Moses and the 12 tribes and so on and so on. And so one could argue, if you wanted to follow Yeshua, convert into Judaism. Okay. Which, don't confuse it from the Zionists. Judaism is the Moses follower. Zionist is something totally different. I'm not telling you to go that route. Okay, here we go. But then I had to talk to the rabbi again, and I asked him, why are they calling him master? Because in Baptist faith, they wouldn't call a minister a master. Well, that's when I learned that the word master is outside of Judaism, rabbi. And this is why the rabbis, the other Jews, hated him, because he went outside of Judaism and he became a master. And so let me put it in perspective. If I say to you, I have a PhD, I'm a doctor, the very next common question would be, in what? And so Yeshua was a master of the spiritual. Yeshua being a master is equivalent to the Judaism of being a high priest. But because Yeshua is a master and not a high priest, he did not follow 100% Judaism. He was a rabbi because of his parents, and he was a very smart person to be a rabbi. He was a minister. He was a rabbi. But don't confuse a rabbi with a master. A master in what? A master in spiritual things. Because in context, only the high priest in Judaism, only the high priest can cast out demons, call on God, converse with angels, the spiritual world. They have an altar. They have the Holy of Holies. They have everything that I taught you should have. They had at the high priest level. They are 100% committed to their Lord. In context, their Lord is Abraham's, Isaac, Jacob's, Moses. Those are lords. King Saul, lords. They are committed to lords because Judaism, by all definition, follow Moses' Lord. But then because of the milk and honey and because they needed their own king and right. But Moses' Lord, you have to ask a question. Is that the creator? The answer is no. It's a Lord. Moses' Lord became a God. First commandment of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not have no other God except there's other gods. And we learn, and I taught, that the God rankings is the Lord's Prayer. What name shall you call out of the God's Lord's Prayer? Okay. So Judaism believes that route. Okay, so Jesus is a master. Master of what? The spiritual stuff. Okay, he's a master. Who was his teacher? One can say, oh, God taught him that. Really? The only way God taught him that is for God to come down and teach him that. And there is no writings ever anywhere that God came down to teach Jesus how to be a master in spiritual world. There is someone else who was very wise that Yeshua stated. The very wise one was King Solomon. He said he's greater than King Solomon. And yes, one can argue, yes, he is greater than King Solomon because King Solomon had a weakness, women. And because he had a weakness of women, he decided to serve another Lord, another God. And the Lord that he served ever since he was a child, all the way to his old age, all of that Lord was very happy with King Solomon. And during that process of happiness with King Solomon, the story goes King Solomon had a ring, and that ring allowed him to have the authority to control the highest of high of the evils and darkness, demons, and so on. But then because he served another God through a woman, because of a woman, he was stripped down, and through his next generation, his son's generation, lost the kingdom. Okay. Yeshua, on one hand, says, I'm greater than he. And yes, he is greater than he. He did not, one, have a kingdom, and two, he was not ruled by a woman. All right. But where does the master aspect come from? Because if I want to be a disciple of Yeshua, think about it. I want to be a student of Yeshua. And he's not teaching me to be a student of Judaism. He's teaching me to be a student of a master level stuff, spiritual stuff. Cast out devils, raise the dead, heal the sick, help those who have external boils, sickness, spiritual stuff. Yeshua in the writing, he's a master. Luke 6, he's a master. Luke 3, he's a master. He's a master all throughout this. No one is questioned when I went into the ministry, became a minister, talked to the rabbi. No one in Christian, the walk of Christian, understood Jesus being a master of what? Because the honest truth is, to be a master of what Jesus was, to be a student, I should say, to be a student of Jesus, you have to do spiritual things. He was training us to do spiritual things. Paul, on the other hand, following of the footsteps of Yeshua, did spiritual things. The last video we talked about was this gift of the Spirit. For some reason, Christianity doesn't want you to know about spiritual things. And the reason is, Christianity has become in the darkness. Preachers are doing things not like Yeshua. In context, let me explain. If you were to do the works of Yeshua and the ministry of Yeshua as an evangelist, going out, Yeshua says, don't bring nothing. Don't bring nothing. It does say your work is for hire, but that doesn't mean that your ministry is work. It's work to get into heaven. Not to have a fancy car or a big house or a big church. It does say, on the other hand, when Yeshua was in the wilderness, anything you ask, I will give it to you. Yes, everyone who has anything of importance from this earth is following the dark side. If they're afraid to teach you how to have a gift, have a purpose, and that purpose be given to you by a gift, if they're afraid of that, then let me see here. Luke 6 says, the disciple is not above the master. We know this. The student is never above the master. The student is never above the professor. But everyone that is perfect, once the student becomes perfect, the student is no longer a student, shall be as his master. A student is no longer a student. Thus, the student becomes a professor talking to another professor. A master talking to another master. When you get to become perfect in your purpose, when you're perfect in your purpose, then you are equivalent to Yeshua the Master, who was perfect in his purpose, thus making us brothers. A disciple is not above the master. So you're a student. What do you need to learn? Whatever you want. Their spirits are there to give you a gift. As you ask for it, the kingdom of God is at hand. Anything you ask for, it shall be given to you. Yes. Everyone that is perfect in that shall be his master. As long as you follow the light, be of the light, have the authority of the light, to shun away darkness, then you're a follower of Yeshua. There's a voodoo word, and I'll close with this. There's a voodoo word it's a French word. It's a voodoo word, but it's from France. It's a French word. All it means is unknown. Something happened that's unknown. If I'm French and I don't know no other language, and I go to you and you tell me, I hope for something. What is hope? Hope is when you think of something, when you see it in your mind, your consciousness. Okay, when I have dreams, I can see that. I know what you're talking about. When I hope for something, eventually in time, I will have evidence. How did you get hope out of your brain to have evidence? I don't know. That's voodoo. It's unknown. How do you get it from your mind to the evidence? It's unknown. To an unknown person, it's voodoo. That's what the word means. Voodoo. I don't know. It's an unknown. I don't know how you got from your mind, hope for, to the evidence. So in history, we know that the Roman Catholic Church wanted to have this global religion, to control religion, because that's what European people do. They try to control every damn thing. And so in one hand, they say all things are bad, evil. But what we do is good. Our God is good. Yeshua is good. And if you don't believe in Yeshua, we'll kill you. Tell me if that ain't the darkness. Anyway, so the voodoo is a person who understands the tools, who mastered the tools like Yeshua and Paul, but some do follow the light, and yes, some do follow the darkness. You also have witches, and they have tools. The tools is the tools. And yes, some do follow the light, and yes, some do follow the darkness. You have Christians, and Christians, some do follow the light, and some do follow the darkness. And you have Middle Eastern, you have Asian, you have South America, you have all of them. All of them have different means of operations. God, the Creator, the all of all, that's His operation. All things we know comes from the heaven. It is the question that the knowledge that comes from heaven, the tools that we know, is it being used for the light or for the darkness? If I go to voodoo, witch, Wiccan, Asian, Middle Eastern, Catholics, Judaism, I guarantee you, if you strip away the individual things that they do, strip away the individual things, I guarantee you, all of you will see an altar in every last one of them. I guarantee you'll see candles in every last one of them. I guarantee you'll see everything I taught you in the book and also these videos. Everything I taught you, every last one of them has it. From Christian, voodoo, witch, Judaism, Christians, all of them have it. All of them conjure up a spirit. Some may speak of it. Some may sing of it. Some may dance to it. they all conjure up a spirit. The spirits that they call up, some are to help, some are to cause danger. They all do good and bad. They all serve the light and darkness. But if you serve the darkness, contrary to the belief, you're all about darkness. When you get freed from your mind to follow Yeshua, let me go into here. Matthew 7. Matthew 7 says in verse 28, and it comes to pass when Jesus has ended these sayings, the people were astonished at his doctrine, his teachings, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. The keeper of the Bible, the keeper of the word of God. Come, if you find somebody that says, come to me, I go to God, you just made them a Lord or a God. Yeshua says, if you want to follow me, there's some requirements, but if you want to follow me, pick up your cross and come. The point I'm trying to make is this. When you follow Yeshua, you're going against everybody. Because everybody in this context are mostly 99.9% are serving the darkness. But let me clarify that. The congregants, the people out who are trying to find God, the people who are trying to understand God, the people who are trying to understand heaven, trying to do the right thing, those people are just simply going to go to the light because they're just trying to seek out the truth. Is it the fault of theirs, or is it the leaders of the church or the synagogue or the temple? This is why the leaders are held to a higher standard. This is why the leaders better know who you are serving. Because if someone is trying to do good and trying to get in heaven, and you're not explaining to them how to get in heaven, if someone says, I'm here on here, what's my purpose in this existence, and you're not trying to teach them their purpose, if I'm been called to do this and you're not teaching them to do this, you are supposed to be a master. The master is a teacher, but you're teaching students who hopefully one day will be masters themselves. Yeah. So, as a master who follows Yeshua and who understands the teachings of Yeshua, King Solomon, Thoth, Enoch, all of those greats, perfect, Job, all of those perfect people. To get perfect, to be perfect, you have to study perfection. And once you get your life in line with perfection and you're doing your purpose, and mine is teaching, it's just a matter of time. And when the darkness comes against you and touch your body and you die, the creation of God will go to God. And those who serve the darkness will go to those who they serve. Yeshua is a master of spirituality. the dangers of following Yeshua as a master is making sure you understand or discern against light from dark, commit yourself to light, and do that purpose on earth until you get to that. All right, so I ranted enough. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to say. It is not easy to understand Yeshua being a master and you being a student and what I'm teaching in this relationship, because it is not what Christians of today's time are teaching. And I am a licensed, ordained Christian, man of God. But I understand my God. I understand how to talk, how to manifest my God. And I do my God's will. Okay? And that's what I'm hoping you will understand, and you'll start doing yourself and realizing that if King Solomon had to do these things, here's some books from King Solomon. If King Solomon knew how to do these things, Yeshua knew how to do these things, spiritual works. King Solomon, Yeshua, Paul, all the disciples, Paul, we're supposed to also. And that's what my hope is, that you'll also know how to do. And these are some of the books that you can get started to learn from a wise man in the spiritual sense. Wise, master, student. All right, guys. So I will talk to you soon. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know, and we'll get on with the next lesson. All right, guys. Bye-bye.